Sterling Silver Knights, students, staff, and parents. My name is Michael Belh, motivational speaker. I've been teaching at Glassboro for the past 19 years. Graduate of Paulsboro High School, where I played football, wrestling, track, and baseball. In football, we had a 63-game winning streak. But that winning streak started after a 14-13 loss right out here on these football fields. 2 years later, I played a game in my senior year where I broke my thumb. So the past 2 times here at Sterling, not great times, but today is going to be amazing. Sterling Silver Knights, you guys have been resilient in the face of adversity all year long. You guys have been hybrid. It has been tough on everybody, teachers, staff, guidance counselors, coaches. You guys hang in there. You guys have been resilient in the face of adversity. Grind this out for a little bit longer. We are so close to the end of the year. Be resilient and have relentless pursuit. Sterling High School, prom, massos. We all know all over the state, proms are not normal this year. I understand that you guys can't go out there and dance, have a dance off. You guys can't slow dance with your partners. You can't do the whip and the nay-nay. But listen, you guys have to go out there and have an amazing time. Go and make prom the best version possible. June 17th is graduation, seniors. You guys have woken up. Check this out, seniors. On April 30th, you guys have woken up 2,334 days for school since kindergarten. 2,334 days. You guys have 32 days left till graduation. You guys got to finish and finish strong. You guys got this. You guys are almost there. Not very long ago, I was a senior as well at Paulsboro High School. All right, 26 years ago in 1995. We had just won a state title in football, the #1 team in South Jersey in the midst of a 63-game winning streak. Member of the wrestling team where we won 25 straight state team titles, and my goal was to be a state champion. All right, I had the world at my fingertips. I was weeks away from signing a full athletic scholarship to go to Rutgers. And after one wrestling match, I ended up quitting because I had been struggling for a long period of time with mental health issues. I was drinking, doing drugs, and I thought by staying silent with the mental health issues, that was keeping me safe. And I'm here to tell you that staying silent with mental health issues will not keep you safe. All right, it's actually detrimental to your health. We got to communicate our feelings, and when there's a void in communication, that void will be filled with negativity. And I filled that void with alcohol and drugs, and the mental health issues got worse. So you can understand where the issues came from. I have to take you back when I was 6 years old. I lived in a house where there was a lot of trauma, toxic stress on a daily basis. Today, we know these things as adverse childhood experiences, and they come in categories. There's abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. And from the abuse part, there's physical, sexual, and emotional. And then neglect, it's emotional and physical. And then with household dysfunction, all right, you live in a household where there's alcohol and drug issues, all right? Someone's been to jail. There's mental health issues, domestic violence, and you live in a single-parent household. And at age 6, I had all 10 of those ACEs, and it was very traumatic growing up, not being able to speak about those things. And at one point, we ended up homeless, living in a shelter in Camden. And I want to tell you guys that ACEs account for a large part of medical, public health, and social issues that we deal with today. You know, matter of fact, many of the problems that students have in school stem from adverse childhood experiences. And we need to make sure that we get out in front of these things and understand that the higher amount of ACEs that you have in these categories, the greater risk you are for behavior problems, social issues, and medical problems. At age 7, I was struggling mentally with all these things that had happened. And the place that I felt safe the most was at school. And at the end of first grade, we ended up moving to Paulsboro, and we settled in. And school was a struggle, though, for me. All right, paying attention, and I had a lot of stress. There was depression, anxiety, PTSD from all these things that happened. But the protective factors at school, these protective factors are your teachers, right, counselors and principals. They made me feel safe going to school. by age 12, I started to grow. I outgrew all my classmates, and matter of fact, playing sports, I was the biggest person out there. I was bigger than the coaches. And I started to stick out playing sports. But see, I was missing something at the time. And the one thing that I was missing was the love of my father. And I had not really known my dad up to that time. My dad had packed up his stuff at an early age, and he just left and went to Florida. And at the end of 6th grade, going into 7th grade, I thought of the bright idea as a 12-year-old kid to run away to Miami, Florida to find my dad. And I stole money out of my mom's pocketbook, wrote a note, and I got on a Greyhound bus to go to Miami, Florida to find my dad. Now listen, on the way down there, I kept envisioning what it was going to be like to tell my dad that I loved him and to hear it back. I kept running it over and over and over in my head. I thought it was going to be great. I was envisioning what it was going to be like living in Miami, Florida. And when I got down to Miami, my grandmother called my dad, got him to pick me up at the bus station. And listen to me now, within 24 hours, I was back in New Jersey. And on the way to the airport, we stopped to grab something to eat. And we were sitting there eating, and I asked my dad, I said, why can't I stay here and live with you? I said, I love you. And all that envisioning, all that great stuff here, and I love you back, my father never said anything. Matter of fact, my father looked me straight in the face and he said, Michael, I never wanted to have a child. See, what I didn't know was that my father had divorced my mom when she was pregnant with me. And that absolutely crushed me as a 12-year-old kid. You know, it's very important to tell your children, parents out there, make sure you tell your children you love you. Kids, make sure you tell your parents that you love them. And that absolutely crushed me as a 12-year-old kid. I really didn't know what to do with that. Within 2 weeks of getting back in New Jersey, within 2 weeks, I began drinking. I was hanging in the wrong places with the wrong people doing the wrong things. I became a victim of my environment, not a product of my decisions. I want to say that to you. Don't be a victim of your environment. Be a product of your decisions. I began breaking in it, entering into homes and stealing things, hanging with the wrong crowds. Within 2 months, I began dealing drugs, hanging out with the wrong people in bars. I had a fake ID as a 12-year-old. I mean, things just went there. At one moment, as a 12-year-old kid, I was playing baseball, playing with cards and toys, and just like that, I'm selling drugs, became a 12-year-old alcoholic, and my life was out of control. And by the end of 3 years, all right, at the end of 3 years, at the end of my freshman year, I ended up getting locked up and put in jail. Locked up and put in jail at the end of my freshman year because of the decisions that I was making. And I'm here to tell you that the decisions you make in life will determine the type of life you have, right? The decisions you make will determine the type of life you lead. And as I sat in a jail cell, when they shut that door on you, it gets pretty serious. And I ended up getting out of jail. They sent me to Scared Straight. Some of you have seen Scared Straight on TV. It's exactly what it is on TV. And I went to Scared Straight with 10 other kids, 11 of us total. And one of those people is not in jail today. And he's speaking to you right here. All right? The thing that I was missing all this time, I was missing those protective factors that I had back when I was in elementary school. All right? The teachers, the counselors, the principals, because I had been missing school. I missed about 150 days by the end of my freshman year. And what ended up happening was I start going back to school, being where I was supposed to be, all right? And things started to turn around because of these protective factors, the teachers and the counselors and the principals, all right? Very important. And I started to excel at sports. By the end of my sophomore year, I was doing well in football, baseball, track, all right? And the one thing that I wasn't doing well at was school. See, they call it a student athlete for a reason, right? Student athlete. And at the end of my sophomore year, I had a 1.0 GPA and 5.10 on the SAT. You're not getting into any college with that, all right? But what ended up happening was a crazy thing happened. At the end of my sophomore year, I got Student of the Month. That's a small gesture, Student of the Month. I was amazed. I was like, why did I get this? I don't deserve it. And the teachers told me, Student of the Month is more than grades. That small gesture impacted my life because I thought that I could do well at school. All right? I thought I could be a better student. And I had been hanging around better people. I wasn't being a victim of my environment. I wasn't being a product of my decisions. And I started to excel. All right? But I needed a 2.0 and 700 to get a full scholarship. So I had my work cut out for me. All right? And we get back to my senior year where this story started out. And I was struggling with mental health issues. Senior year, like I said, we would won a state championship in football. Was getting ready to win a state title, I thought, in wrestling. And I quit after one match because of the mental health issues. And I had been locked up at the end of my junior year. So locked up end of freshman year, locked up end of junior year. And I didn't like the person that I was becoming. All right? I did not like the person I was becoming. And I thought that staying silent with my mental health issues would keep me safe. And I got to the end of the road and I thought that I did not want to live anymore. All right? And there was a suicide attempt. And in that suicide attempt, I hit rock bottom. And I'm here to tell you that rock bottom is a great foundation to build upon, but we need to communicate our feelings. All right? In that moment, at hitting rock bottom, I decided that I wanted to live and I wanted to communicate. All right? But it was still a struggle. I got through the end of my senior year. I ended up with a 2.0, 700 on the SAT, and I ended up with a full scholarship to go to Rutgers. And I have to be honest with you, my number one plan was to play in the NFL. So I thought that I would go to Rutgers for 3 or 4 years and just play NFL football, make a lot of money. And I'm here to tell you that you got to have bigger plans than that. You can't just think you're going to play professional sports because that doesn't happen for everybody. All right? Freshman year at Rutgers, I played right away. Played behind a couple guys that went to the NFL, and things looked promising. I said, I'm going to the NFL in 3 more years. Get to my sophomore year. 1 week before the first game, devastating knee injury. Had to have surgery 2 days later. Tore every major ligament in my knee. Every major ligament. Doctor came in. He said, Michael, we're going to get you walking again, but you're never playing football ever again. And that absolutely crushed me because I thought I was going to the NFL, and I was still having mental health issues. And telling me that my career is over was tough because I began drinking even more. I started my rehab after surgery, and homecoming game came. I'm supposed to be at Rutgers Stadium doing my rehab, but I was having problems. I decided to go to a bar, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I left at 5 in the afternoon. Was supposed to be at the game. Ended up getting pulled over, DWI, driving while intoxicated. You guys have prom coming up. You can't get behind the wheel of a car drinking. Shouldn't be drinking anyway. So I get locked up, almost kicked out of Rutgers, all right? And it was a struggle. It was a struggle because I wouldn't communicate my feelings and I wouldn't tell people about the drinking problem. And I battled back though, all right? The doctor told me I would never play football ever again, and I wanted to chase after this and go after life with relentless pursuit. I knew I had to have relentless pursuit. I knew I needed to be resilient. And I knew I needed to put in sweat equity. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up came back. I played my last 3 years. And I even played 2 Division I sports. I ended up wrestling heavyweight at Rutgers. All right, and we get to my senior year. Going to the NFL. 305-pound defensive tackle, right? And the season didn't go as planned. We ended up 1-10 and didn't play well enough to go to the NFL. But during the season, Wednesday nights, I started attending these leadership development sessions. And something clicked, man. There was just one of those things that the leadership sessions resonated with me. And I began attending these sessions, and I learned about these things called the 7 laws of leadership. Now listen to me. 7 laws of leadership are very simple, yet not easy. They're very simple, yet not easy, and I want to share them with you. All right? Law number 1, responsibility. Take personal responsibility for your life. All right? Take personal responsibility for your life. Don't be a victim of your environment. Be a product of your decisions. Law number 2, set goals. Set goals, guys, in every area where you have allegiance. School, sports, in the community, whatever it might be, family. You have to set goals. And law number 3, create an action plan. Without an action plan, you don't have a plan, guys. You can just crumble that thing up and throw it in the trash. You got to have an action plan for your goals. Law number 4, understanding human behavior. all right? Being fully present when someone's talking to you. Listen with empathy, with your ears, your eyes, and your heart. All right? How many of you do that? A lot of the times when people are talking to you, you're on your phones, you're not listening, and you're not fully present. All right? That's how you understand human behavior, and you can lead people properly. Law number 5, trust. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. And relationships, guys, relationships are built on trust. Trust is built on relationships. You have to learn to trust people. Be trustworthy, and you'll work yourself up in society and at your job. Law number 6. Law number 6. Correct improper behavior correctly. All right? A lot of people, guys, have problems with this. All right? A lot of times when people are correcting people, they make it personal. They correct the person and not the behavior. Don't do that. Don't hold grudges. Don't ever punish somebody out of anger. And you got to hold everybody accountable, starting with yourself. Starting with yourself. Law number 7. Lead from the front. Lead from the front. And you got to lead by example. You got to understand, leadership is not a noun. It is a verb. You take people from one place and you bring them to the next. And you're always bringing them to a place that they couldn't get to on their own. And one of the best things about leadership, guys, listen to me now. One of the best things about leadership, you don't need the title to be a leader. I'm looking at them right now, all right? A bunch of leaders. Now look, leadership is easy, right? We can lead ourselves, but it takes a special person to lead other people. But if you follow these 7 laws of leadership, you can do exactly that. All right? Now listen, when the season ended, I wasn't going to the NFL. I was not good enough. I wasn't consistent enough. And I had all those other issues, the alcohol issue, all right? The mental health issues that I never really dealt with because I thought staying silent was keeping me safe. And 1 month after the football season, I decided to go out and get drunk and try one line. I said I was going to try 1 line of cocaine. That's all I was going to do. I was going to try 1 line, never do it again, just do it once. I had always been the person that said, not me. I'd watch people do it. I'll never do that. But I'm here to tell you, don't be a victim of your environment. Be a product of your decisions. Because if you be like me and you say that you're never going to do that, but you're hanging around people that do, you will eventually do that, without a doubt. And that 1 line of cocaine, hooked instantly like this. See, what I didn't know, when my parents had me, my parents did drugs, all right? So the decisions that they made impacted me, and I was hooked instantly. And listen, that 1 line of cocaine went to ecstasy, then it went to ketamine, and then it went to crystal meth. And I couldn't stop. I could not stop what I was doing, right? Because I was hanging around the wrong people, and I decided just one night, it'll be special, I'll go out. You guys got prom coming up, right? You can't have these situations pop up where you're just going to do something just one time, because it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. I ended up graduating from Rutgers. I became the first person from my family to graduate high school, and I became the first person to graduate from college. And right away, I started teaching at Glassboro High School. And 8 years later, after that 1 line of cocaine that I said I was just going to do, alcoholic, drug addict, mental health issues, was gambling. My life was just spiraling out of control. All right, and it was really headed nowheres. And we get to December of 2007, 8 years to the week of doing that 1 line of cocaine. I'm teaching, a call out of work on a Friday, having a binge in my apartment with alcohol and drugs. And, you know, I'm looking at the TV, and there's this special on TV about the Ironman. And I had not known what the Ironman triathlon was at the time. The only Ironman I knew was Tony Stark, the Marvel character. And this guy on the screen, he had a very similar life to me. Grew up with trauma, toxic stress, alcohol, 12-year-old alcoholic. And he was getting ready to do this thing called the Ironman. I had no idea what it was. The Ironman is a 2.4-mile swim. You get out of the water, then you get on a bike. 112 miles. That's like going from Sterling down to Margate, down to the shore and back. And then you get off the bike, and then you run a full marathon. And I'm telling you what, looking at that guy's story, it just resonated with me. And I started to get that hope. Now look, I didn't have the teachers that I had back when I was in high school to give me the hope that I needed, getting Student of the Month. All right? But watching that on TV, it just resonated with me. It clicked like this. And in that moment, I said to myself, I'm going to be an Ironman triathlete. And everybody around me, you're hanging, the environment I'm hanging in, everybody's drinking, everybody's doing drugs, because when you do those things, that's who you hang out with. All right, so don't be a victim of your environment. You got to be a product of your decisions. The people I was with, who I thought were my friends, they started laughing at me. They're like, you're a 305 pound, you're fat, you're out of shape. All right, you'll never be able to do that. You can't run 3 miles. And here's the thing, guys. Those people were absolutely right. I was out of shape. I was sweating getting out of bed in the morning. I was that out of shape. But I put into my mind that I was going to put the effort I put in destroying my life into changing it. And that's exactly what I did. All right? I got those people out of my house. I stopped hanging around with the wrong people at the wrong places doing the wrong things. And I started making decisions that was going to change my life. I was going to go from an addict alcoholic to an Ironman triathlete. And that's exactly what I did by the decisions that I was making. See, people think all the time that you can think your way into a new way of acting. It doesn't work that way, guys. You got to act your way into a new way of thinking. And in 2010, I became an Ironman triathlete. And I've been doing Ironman triathlons ever since. All right? You guys can do anything you want in this life. Anything. But you got to have relentless pursuit. You need resilience. And you got to put in sweat equity. And you can do anything you want. Resilience, relentless pursuit, and sweat equity. All right? You can do anything you want. You guys just heard my story. Now we need to talk about your big day coming up. May 1st, prom at Masso's. And I want to tell you, it all starts with believing in yourself and loving yourself. When you believe in yourself and you love yourself, all right, you have self-control. And you control 4 things every day. Listen to me now. You control your attitude, your actions, your behavior, and your effort. And when you control all these things, listen to me. You're going to go to the prom. You're going to make smart decisions, right? You're going to make smart decisions with the COVID protocols that are put in place by the school. All right, you're going to do what you're supposed to be doing before and after the prom. And you're not going to be a victim of your environment. You're going to be a product of your decisions, because as I explained to you in my own life, the decisions that I was making, they determined the type of life I was having early on. All right, and I want to make sure you guys understand choices that you guys make. Small choices, big choices. Yeah, people say sometimes, the small choices. Yes, they do. Small choices matter. The small choices and big choices, they all stack on top of each other like cards. And you guys got to understand. I'm going to share one thing that my coach used to share with me at Rutgers. All right, he used to say, midnight air is poison. Midnight air is poison. He used to say, nothing great ever happens after 12 o'clock. Nothing ever great happens after 12. You guys got to be committed. You can't be interested. You got to be committed, all right, to doing what you're supposed to be doing, all right? You got to be committed, because when you're committed, you're going to do what you need to be doing. When you're only interested, things always don't work out like that, all right? You got to make sure when you're making decisions, your worst enemy is not living right here in between your own ears, all right? And you make smart decisions based off of how you want to live your life, right? Those smart decisions that you can make, all right? Understand, you don't want to miss out on your life, all right? You don't want to miss out on your life, all right? And you want to be able to find your purpose in life, all right? Because making these decisions that you make around prom time, around graduation time, can have an impact on your life later on down the road, all right? Listen to me. You guys got to have relentless pursuit, resilience, and put in sweat equity. I'm excited for you guys. Prom, and then May 1st, Masso's, you guys have a hypnotist. All right, make sure you guys participate. All right, make sure you guys have fun. Unwind. All right, you only get one prom in 2021. Make it the best version possible. All right, Sterling Silver Knights, it's been great speaking to you guys. I cannot wait till I come over to the school and we can go inside the castle there and I can tell you a little bit more about my story of relentless pursuit. But you guys have a great rest of the year. And remember, you have 32 days left as of April 30th. You guys have a great rest of the year. You guys stay safe, all right? And have a great day.